Drake. Let's get, whatever, it gets the people going. And people are down on Drake right now. And, there's a lot of, man, I never liked Drake. I never fucked with him. Nah, I never. Hey, man, from 2009, from so far gone until now, I'm not telling you what you got to do, but the output, who has had output of just hit records, omnipresent, being the guy, being in the conversation, running the conversation, controlling the conversation for so many years back to back to back to back to back to back. There is something that I heavily respect about that and weigh about that when we have conversations about greatness. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, I've seen a lot of people, shout out to Reed, man. Reed My Soul, that's my man. I rock with him. And I love when people make arguments like this, by the way, when they say, Reed basically said that Drake never ran any single year. Now, I don't want to get distracted by that. I don't want to get distracted by his argument. But I remember when they said the same thing about Hov. Like, Hov was never actually, I know these are memes that go around.
Yeah.
Right. And so I never subtract Drake's commercial success. Honestly, I think that really is the thing that puts him in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't think my criticisms or critiques on Drake have never been him being too successful or, have never discounted the fact that he's so successful and the quality of songs that he was put out. Take Care to me, that's peak Drake.
Yeah.
Take Care is peak Drake to me. What Started From the Bottom and Worst Behavior are two of the most important songs in my life ever.
Yeah, ever the same.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Ever. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of verses on Hotline Bling. You can put that on right now.
Shout out to Mike Zombie. I just saw Mike Zombie yesterday, man. Shout out to Mike Zombie.
1 second applause to Mike Zombie.
Yeah.
Right. I don't look at, but there's a but coming.
Yeah.
Right? But, I don't think, I look at the run that he's put together and it's phenomenal, and I think there are very valid questions about the era, the timing, and the infrastructure around him at the same time.
For sure.
Right. So it's like, oh man, this is an incredible run. And yet we've never seen anybody have the same infrastructure. So it's not like I'm comparing apples to apples by looking at it the same way.
Right. I agree.
I haven't seen someone with the writing camps, that in the hip hop side in the same way. He's making great points in this. He's making points about the music industry right now that I think we all kind of believe. But that, to me, also puts those numbers in a different light too. Yeah. Now, that's not taken away from the quality of the bodies of work that he's given us. But when I look at it too, it's also very narrow.
Well, right, but and that's why the GOAT argument is inherently flawed, because the industry structure and the support allows for this to happen. But it goes back to what I said. I can't discount Rakim because he had way less albums than Jay-Z. The industry wasn't built. The industry couldn't fathom a 14 album run commercially. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe Too Short in what he was doing independently, but the industry couldn't fathom that amount of music.
Or even fans couldn't fathom an old rapper.
Right. And I had once asked Rakim this on a red carpet when Jay was an owner of the Nets and they were opening the Barclays, and just thinking about in the 80s, it was if you couldn't perform at Madison Square Garden like that, you made it. What? Like, wow, the Garden. And I asked Rakim kind of what he felt about Jay being able to build essentially an MSG in his home borough and be an owner of a basketball team. And did you ever think that hip hop would take it this far? Mm-hmm. Rest in peace to Big, which I think is the greatest line in hip hop ever, because I constantly think about that. And Rob was like, yeah, we weren't thinking that big. Like it just wasn't available to us. We was just trying to get to the next thing. But you need a Rakim and the accomplishments of a Rakim or Run DMC with everybody holding up their Adidas in the Garden for 50 Cent to get a G-Unit sneaker deal with Reebok. Like, so we can't, automatically discount the walls that were kicked down, because now it's a totally different industry that can support a run that Drake had. And again, how do you make that output? How does he keep putting albums out? And again,
the cynical response to that, though.
Listen, we know Drake cannot deny. Drake has admitted it. They credit it. writers, which was something that we had to contend with. Like, oh, okay, now there's writers. We never, because that was always a no-no for us. Didn't mean that didn't happen.
Right.
There were writers back then, like Tone Loc was writing, or was Young MC writing for Tone Loc?
I can't remember which way.
Which way it was.
I can't remember which way it went.
But you had that, right? You have Snoop, who is one of the greatest of all time, saying, "Hell yeah, Jay-Z wrote my parts on Still DRE."
Right. Or DOC.
Right. DOC, a writer, right? Like Dr. Dre. Like, I didn't know, when I first heard Dr. Dre, I didn't realize Dre wasn't writing that stuff until years later. Puff. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we've seen it before. It's not anything new. I don't think when it came to Drake, we didn't have to contend with it. When it was Dre, it was like, oh, well, he's a producer, so his superpower is producing. But there were other people who were making beats that Dre would refine, but there were other people actually banging the MPC as well, like Daz, the story of Daz doing a lot of those beats, or at least starting off a lot of those beats and Dre finishing them. But we never had to contend with it with a guy, I think, who we took so seriously with his raps with Drake, because whether look, man, when Drake gets in his timestamp bag, it's raps. When he's with Conductor Williams, it's raps. So you like, oh, he takes his rap seriously. This is not a guy playing with it. But then you have to contend, well, where was their writing? Where was their help? How much of this was personal? And guess what? It doesn't even matter anymore to a generation, because now there's a generation, because he is the guy. He was the guy for so long. He was the pace car for everybody else.
His influence is crazy.
Their kids coming up like, yeah, I don't have to write everything, or I don't have to write at all, or whatever they choose. And before it was a no-no, but he to the victor goes the spoils, right? When you're the guy, you do what you want.
How do you feel about that as someone who came up writing?
It's very hard for me to contend with. I enjoy the songs. But it's a very tough thing for me. Like, and then we make exceptions for it because we're fans of him. All right, but he wrote all the timestamp joints. Like, I think there will be a second meltdown if ever a reference track came out that we felt was like credible. Like, yo, this is a joint of 6 p.m. in Toronto or 4 p.m. in Calabasas. I think or his Churchill Downs verse with Jack Harlow. Then I think it becomes another thing. But
I mean, that's kind of happening right now, right?
I see it
with Jay Nolan and the conversations he's been having. Shout out to Jay Nolan too. 1 second plug.
But that's why I say credible, right? Like I haven't seen anything yet, and maybe I'm not looking deep enough. Like I'm not. I hear it and I see what people are saying, but I'm like, okay, well, where is the? Because you also got to realize, up until the Quentin Miller stuff, and again, this is going on in hip hop since the beginning. Up until the Quentin Miller stuff, we had only heard a handful of reference tracks. It wasn't a thing that we were used to hearing. It's one thing to be like, oh, so-and-so wrote that. You know, I remember when they were saying that was it M1 from Dead Prez was writing for Nas?
And they try to say Jay Electronica too.
And Jay Electronica was writing for Nas? Maybe. I mean, that was hard. Like, what? Where's the proof? Show me the proof. Like I gotta know for sure, right? Hearing a reference track is like, oh. So hearing the Quentin Miller stuff was like, oh, this is real. Before that, what had we heard? Biggie doing Lil' Kim's Queen Bitch had leaked.
Well, I think the conversation about ghostwriting is only relevant if you're talking about, you know, accolades and superlatives. If you're ranking artists, if you're trying to say who's the GOAT, that's where that becomes a thing that stands out. Otherwise, collaborative writing is just part of music. I think a lot of great songs happen that way.
For sure. But it comes back to a feeling to me, right? When I talk about the timestamp joints. And this is not me beating down on Drake. This is me like, I mean, he's the example. When it comes to the timestamp joints, like me as a rap fan, it becomes, it's a beat and it's his rhymes. There's not a singer on the hook. There's kind of no melody to really figure out. It's just turn the beat on, this is what I gotta say. This, it feels so personal when I hear it. So I want to believe, and I have a personal attachment to the story and the emotions in that. And it taints it if there was oh, damn, that wasn't all you, as opposed to just hold on, we're going home. You know what I'm saying? Which doesn't feel as personal to me as a fan. It's just the way I feel. I can't dictate it to anybody else. That's why I say the GOAT thing is based off of a feeling. I haven't figured out how to contend with it yet. You know what I'm saying? But you know.
Where are you with this battle a year later?
I'm over it, dog. Oh my God, it's weighing so much. Like, I'm over. Like, and with what we do, like what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, what again, when we talk about pace cars, right? Like you set the pace for so many of us, like, because you've been doing this so many years. There are things that we look, man. As this trial gets closer, and if this thing actually goes to court, this lawsuit, we have to talk about it. We're gonna have but it's so exhausting. Like I don't. People be like, yo, you got to pick a side. No, I don't. I don't get money with any of them.
Or both of them.
Or both of them. I don't.
You get money. You could argue you get money off both of them.
I get money, right. Well, I get money talking about them, but I don't get money with them. Like, you know.
But I think when they say pick a side or whatever, because I've heard you say this before, but like, you know, I think a lot of times people just really want to know how people personally feel.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially when, you know, you and I being in the industry, you know, there's a lot of, people look at people in the industry and generally speaking as having just broader relationships they're trying to manage.
Yeah, but also the audience wants validation. They want to know that where can you stand so I know where to put you. Like the audience wants validation in what they feel and they look to us because I've had it on both sides. I know I'm doing a good job and I feel good. I can sleep at night. Because I get it from both camps. Oh, you always making excuses for Drake. Oh, you're a K-bot. And I'm like, make up your mind. Like, for me, or at least where I'm comfortable or what I feel like my space is in this point in time is I'm calling balls and strikes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think necessarily in absolute terms. So how do I feel about it? Kendrick won the battle. It is not an argument. Why did Kendrick win the battle? Because he had the better rhymes. He had the better records. He had the better strategy. Why did Drake lose? Drake made a lot of mistakes. Pull up. It started with pull up leaking first before. Like it just was kind of a snowball effect. Like again, or if you're calling it like boxing, Kendrick set the pace and the tone for how this was going to go, and Drake couldn't quite keep up. Do I believe Drake is a PDF? No. Well, Kendrick lied on him. He called him a PDF and he's not a PDF, so that invalidates Not Like Us. No, it don't. It's a great fucking, like it is the greatest diss record that we've seen of all time. It's
up there with California Love now. It's transcended beef tracks now.
It's past California Love. Like
it's way past like beef in general. Like, so that song is a unifying anthem.
No, absolutely. So, and I get this a lot. And I'm, you know, as we're having this conversation for anybody who's interested, it's like people want to know where you stand. I've always been clear of where I stood and how I see things, but I'm not ready to throw Drake out in the trash. Oh, he was never hip hop. He was never one of us. Listen, it's a song. Not Like Us is a song, and I get it. Hip hop is better off for that Drake run. It took hip hop to another place. You know what I'm saying? Is how I feel. So I don't have to it's not an absolute term for me. This guy is the absolute greatest and this dude is a fucking zero and he was never worth anything. The truth is more, you know what I'm saying? It's just more nuanced than that. So we could say, yo, Kendrick won. He is the greatest right now. Like he's the guy right now. He made the best records. He had the thing. And Drake made some mistakes. You know, but it doesn't invalidate what happened in the past. Like I can't erase what the past was.
You sound like you're the tribalism between the fan bases is frustrating at this point in time.
Because it's very political because we get it all the time. And what people don't realize is that, yo, dog, sometimes your opinion is not even your own. You're herded into that. I'm supposed to First of all, we tweet and we do things for engagement on the internet. The more extreme your piece of content, the more engagement it gets, because it's about making people feel a way and getting people to react. Hey man, that new Kendrick song, That Night Like Us, is pretty good. You tweet that, it might just sit there. Oh, this is the greatest diss record I ever heard in my life. It's a different level of engagement. Yo, this is the worst shit I ever heard in my life. It's classic or trash. And there's no room for nuance. And it's like, yo, we don't live our life like that. So much of this tribalism and this discourse between the two fan bases also feels very Trump. It feels very like political and it's bigger than hip hop. I think it has a lot to do with society right now and how social media is kind of controlling our conversations and how we interact with each other. It's dangerous. Like I know people in real life who voted for Trump. I don't hate you. I'm not gonna punch you in the mouth because you voted in a way that I didn't vote. I don't agree with you. You know, we might argue a debate, but if you're on social media, if you voted for Trump, I'm gonna fuck you up when I see you. I'm gonna burn you at the stake. If you voted for Kamala, then the same thing. It's just like we don't treat each other like that. First of all, most of y'all ain't about that life because there's more violence on the internet than there is in real life. You ain't gonna do shit. You're gonna be a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like we just gotta watch the way we're being controlled. I think it's like a real social experiment.
1 second of pause. I'm with that. You know, I think, who was saying this? I think Academics was talking about how he was talking to rappers who were talking about how they were complaining about all the oxygen being taken out of the conversation. No one wants to hear anything else. Now, that was Academics saying that. Mm-hmm. I've actually had artists tell me the same thing one way or the other. Mm-hmm. You know,
people are moving their release dates.
Moving still. Yeah. They're still doing it.
And it wasn't just rappers. It was, I know for a fact that I spoke to, hey, when are you dropping? Okay, I'm so-and-so pop artist. We're not going to drop. People were staying out the way. Camila Cabello didn't get to drop her Drake record. That was supposed to be a single.
Should have went out early.
And they had to, I get it though.
She should have had it before. Yeah. They should have let that girl drop in January or something. Yeah. But I mean, even right now, you know, I think, you know, I the ripple effects of this battle. See, I'm definitely, I think my point of view is very apparent through my content, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm still fascinated by all of this from an anthropological standpoint, a historical standpoint. Mm-hmm. We're still in the middle of something we've never seen before. Yeah. And, you know, so I'm hesitant to express frustration about it right now because I'm not sure if I'm frustrated. What maybe, I guess, the closest thing I get to frustrating around this, what gets frustrating around this is the fact that everything is people are still presenting things as if everything is still life and death around it. I think perhaps that feels a bit extreme to me. Yeah. You know, like as more time goes, like I do chart report, right? Yeah. And this last chart report was battle for number one, you know, because Nokia's number two and whatchamacallit's number one right now, Luther. So I got these Drake fans, don't switch up now, don't switch. I'm like, this is the news. This is how news goes.
A lot of them bots. I struggle with that. It was funny because I was like, I should do a charts thing. And charts aren't my thing, right? But my channel is my opinion. It is me. I don't get up there and say anything I don't feel. It is also a business. It is also something that I'm trying to grow. It's also something I'm trying to get self-sustaining. And, you know, people are like, oh, well, you always talk about the battle. Like, oh, you always talk about Drake or Kendrick. You always watch it. You didn't watch my Sky Zoo video. Right. You didn't watch my Corday video. Right. Like, you didn't watch my Jesse Reyes video. I love that Jesse Reyes album. You know, you didn't watch, oh my God, the vulnerability that Wale showed on Blanco. Like, oh, let's talk about it. Again, when it goes back to hip hop growing up and men being able to really express emotion and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm not
your YG video was great too.
The YG video, you know what I'm saying? Those don't get the most traffic. So the audience bears some responsibility. This is what we want to hear. A lot of times, if I'm being honest, I run from it. Oh man, Like, and not because I don't want to talk about it, but it's just like, man, the energy that life or death energy. But let's be real. Luther, I think, is 8 consecutive weeks at number 1 now. I don't know when this drops. It looks like likely a 9th number. It's historic. That's a great run. And guess what, man? Nokia is number 2. I get it. We want Drake number 1. If we're pro Drake, we want Drake number 1. I get it. Man, number 2 ain't bad, bro. Like, you got Hotline Bling.
Well, it's bad for someone whose largest accolades is being number 1 for as long as it is.
Right. And that's the issue. Let's be real.
That's the problem. I mean, that's the thing that that audience is working through.
First of all, right. But even if you just, again, come down to reality, right? And the nuance and get out of this or them, us versus them shit. Hotline Bling wasn't a number 1 single either. It peaked at number 2. It wasn't a Kendrick record that kept it out in the number 1 spot, but it peaked at number 2. For you Drake fans, for everybody who is Hotline Bling not a great record? Does it take away from the greatness of the record? Like, I tweeted the other day of a fun fact. One of my favorite Bobby Brown songs is On Our Own from the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. Love that fucking record, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's number 2 record. What was the number 1 record that kept it out in number 2 spot? It was Prince. It was Bat Dance, his Batman soundtrack thing. And so what? Like, that Bobby Brown record's still a great record. Prince is still Prince. Like, we gonna be all right. Listen to all the Drake fans out there, to the great Reverend Kendrick Lamar once said, we gonna be all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your man got one. Like, it's number 2. And then let's be real. Now, if y'all want to be real, let's be real. If at this point, after 8 or 9 weeks, Nokia then overtakes Luther as the number 1 thing, great. He got his number 1. That's amazing. After 9 weeks of this guy dominating, like Luther can't be number 1 forever. It's eventually going to lose steam. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you was head to head. The record's been out longest, like, and now it's your turn. Like, so is that, yes, the number 1 is a win, but like, then Kendrick fans should just come back, yeah, number 1 after we ran the shit for 10 weeks.
Right.
Congratulations. Like when does it stop?
Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom happening. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dabbing them. Life through the lens of hip-hop, from trip-hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin